Hello YouTube! It is Wednesday and I am Kate, so I'm uploading my new video. A lot has changed in the week since I last uploaded a video. My cousin did pass away last Wednesday evening, and then I was let go from my job on Thursday. So all in all, not a great week for me, but I'm hoping this week will be better than last week. One can only hope at this point. So the theme of the week this week is unemployment and how to stay sane when you are not working a regular job full-time. So first off, make sure that you do apply for unemployment as soon as possible, like as soon as you get home, or as soon as you leave your former employer, or as soon as you stop screaming after you leave your former employer, or as soon as security takes you away from your former employer. Try not to do any of those things, except just, go home, be calm, and whatever. But the case may be, just make sure you do apply for unemployment as soon as possible. You may be eligible even if you don't necessarily think that you are. It's always better to just try and be denied than not try and never know. After that, just take a few days. Just take a few days to really calm down and process and accept your situation, because it's not easy. It's not easy to lose a job, whether you've been laid off or fired, or even if you just couldn't take it anymore and quit. You really do need to take a couple days before you really get into all the job applications and the stress of finding a job. So just take a little bit of time for yourself and reflect and relax as much as possible. After that, do try to create a schedule and stick to it. Get up at a regular time, go to bed at a regular time. Get dressed and ready every day, because that'll make you feel more human and more alive than if you just stay in your pajamas all the time. I know it can be really easy to get sucked into that because you don't have to leave the house, so why get dressed? But at the same time, it's sort of a mental thing, because if you get dressed and you do get ready in the morning, then you're more likely to be productive throughout the day. Now, one of the things that I like to do, and that studies have actually shown is really helpful, is journaling. I use 750words.com to write, as you can probably guess, 750 words each day at a minimum. That's really helpful for me in just working out, mental and emotional stress type stuff, and kind of work through any issues I might have, or questions, or feelings about different things. And I know studies have shown, as I mentioned, that people who journal are more likely to be happier, more positive throughout their unemployment experience, and are more likely to get a job sooner than people who do not journal throughout their unemployment process. So it's a really good outlet and can kind of help really keep you positive about what's going on. One of the other things is just to stay physically active, or get physically active if you are not physically active, even if it's just taking a 15-minute walk around the neighborhood, or if you want to do a 3-mile run. Now is a really good time to start that Couch to 5K program if you've been thinking about it. It's a really great program. Physical exercise really helps in boosting confidence and self-esteem, and that can also help keep you positive throughout this process and really keep you going. It gives you something to do every day, and I know initially it might not feel good, you might be really sore, but eventually it will feel good, and you'll get those endorphins, and you'll just be happier all around if you can be physically active in some way, shape, or form. Now, to stay active in a more professional sense, I highly recommend volunteering. I know a lot of us would like to give back to our community, but we don't necessarily have the time when we're working 40 hours a week. And the nice thing is that even though your full-time job while you're unemployed is finding a new job, you don't have all that commuting time and breaks and everything that eats into your day that makes those 8 hours turn into 9 or 10 or 12 hours a day. So you have a little bit of extra time where you could take a couple hours in the morning and go volunteer and give back to your community. Now, the nice thing about volunteering is, well, there's kind of multiple layers to it. One, you're helping other people, which will make you feel better about yourself, and it will, help other people, which is generally a good thing. Two, you can put it on your resume, which I know a lot of people don't necessarily realize, because most people think that your resume just needs to be your work experience, things that you've been paid to do, and that's not necessarily true. Having volunteer experience when you're unemployed on your resume can really help, especially if you have gaps in your unemployment. Like if you have a month or several between jobs, employers will wonder what you've been doing with that time to stay productive and stay active. And having that volunteer work on there shows that you weren't just sitting around watching Breaking Bad, as much as you may want to. So, speaking of Breaking Bad, go ahead and watch a couple episodes. I mean, watch a whole season if you want, if it's the weekend. If you've already put in your 40 hours of job searching for the week, go ahead, take a break. Enjoy the time that you have off. One of the nice things about not working a regular schedule, a regular 9-to-5 schedule, is that you can adjust the times that you're applying to jobs and looking for a new position. So I know I live in Chicago and we have a lot of free museum days, but they're usually during the work week. And now that I'm not working a regular job, I have the time that I could go down to a museum for a few hours on a Tuesday when it's free, and I can enjoy that and then spend maybe Tuesday evening working on job applications instead. So you get a little bit of balance there, and you get to experience some things that you wouldn't necessarily have the time to do, or the availability at the times that you would need them to do when you're working full-time. So allow yourself to enjoy the time off. Do watch TV shows, go to plays if you can budget them, feel free, go to a play. Start drawing, start writing. Writing is really good. It really, really helps people. It really helps me, but I am also a writer, but I know from other people that it can really help you. I also like to take online classes. I take some free online classes through Universal Class. I signed up for free through my library, but I know that the website is not normally free. And it really just depends on what you're interested in. I take a lot of courses that will help me in professional development, like resume writing and persuasiveness and being assertive, because I'm not that great at being assertive. But they're skills that are necessary to being successful in our economy and just in our world, and leading successful personal relationships too. So you can really help yourself in keeping your knowledge up to date on different things. Read blogs, read news outlets, actually follow the news. Don't just watch The Daily Show. As entertaining as it is, it doesn't tell you everything. And then another thing I highly, highly, highly recommend is to keep track of your job applications. I use an Excel spreadsheet. If you don't have Excel or any kind of spreadsheet software, you can make a Google account for free and use the Google Drive to create a spreadsheet. I just keep track of the position I applied for, the company I applied for it at, when I applied, the date and time of any interview that I may have received, and then the outcome of the application if I know anything. That's helpful if you are applying to a lot of jobs in a short amount of time and you get a call back from a company that you kind of vaguely remember applying to, but you have no idea what position you applied for. Then you would be able to reference that and know. And you also wouldn't accidentally apply for the same job more than one time. So there's that, and that's really helpful. For the most part, just try to stay positive, stay productive, stay active. Just keep going. You will get a job again, and this period will end at some point. I know sometimes it can seem like it never ever will. A little bit of advice if you are having some trouble getting a job, say you've been applying to jobs for a few weeks, try to change strategies, open up to applying to new markets. I would highly recommend taking a look at your resume. Proofread it. Proofread it. I cannot tell you how many times to just proofread your resume, because the tiniest of errors could completely stop you from getting a job, because these hiring managers, if they see a spelling error or a misuse of some kind of punctuation mark, they will probably just toss your resume and disregard you, because if you can't take the time to write a proper resume that is properly formatted, has correct spelling and punctuation and grammar, then how can they trust you to do proper work for them? It's sloppy, and just, don't do it. So proofread. Spell check doesn't catch everything. It will not catch misused words. It'll just catch misspelled words. So if you have some trouble with that, definitely run it through your spell check and then send it off to some friends or family members or former coworkers if you can, just to have them take a look and make sure that everything looks okay. Also, try avoiding using a functional resume. That's where it's split into like skill categories and not as much emphasis on the actual work experience, because employers tend to see that as a red flag and will be more discerning with you than they will with other candidates who use the chronological resume. If you don't know what those are, well, Google them. Sorry, but this video is getting really long. So, so avoid functional, use chronological as much as you can. Also, use really strong action verbs, because people will be looking for those. And instead of just describing your duties, like handling different phone lines and doing email accounts and calendars, try to aim to talk about your accomplishments, things that you've done to improve systems or improve sales, or anything that can be measured or used numbers with. So if you've exceeded goals and that kind of thing, because really companies are not looking for someone who wants a job. They're looking for someone who can improve their company and make them more money. That's what they want. That's really what they want. They just want someone that will show up on time, do their job so well that it will basically ruin all their other employees for them, because this person is a rock star. So they want you to be the best possible employee that you can be. But, I don't want to leave you with that note. So just, really, really try to stay positive. I know it's so easy to get down on yourself when you're out of work and you haven't been working for a little while. It's easy to lose confidence and self-worth, and that's why I definitely recommend the journaling and being physically active, because that will help. It really, really will help. And if you are struggling even more, talk to someone. I know it's not easy to reach out for help, but talk to a friend or a family member, someone that you feel that you can trust, someone that you feel you can open up to, and just say that you're struggling and that you might need some help in just lifting up your spirits. So really don't be afraid to reach out, because people are more willing to help than you might realize. Aside from that, I hope that all of your guys' experiences with unemployment will be brief, and that you will end up in a job that pays you enough to live on and be comfortable with, and that you won't end up hating your job. And I hope the same for myself. So I'm hoping that next week maybe I'll be telling a different story. But until then, I hope you guys do have a really wonderful week. And I will see you next Wednesday.